Welcome to Alimentary, the podcast series where you will learn about your amazing body, how it works, and of course why food is so important. We have our store cupboard staples at the end of each episode. We'll also learn more about lifestyle tips and therapies to help you to influence your health in a positive way. Researchers have been studying the effects of strength training for more than 40 years and have identified multiple ways it can benefit older adults, including maintaining muscle mass, improving mobility, and increasing the health years of our lives. And it's safe to say we all want quality as well as quantity. So in this episode, I'm thrilled to sit down with Kayla Neal, a true trailblazer in fitness and wellness. With over 30 years of experience as a certified personal trainer and owner of Star Cycle in Santa Barbara, which she has recently sold, Kayla is also a leading voice in women's health and brings a wealth of knowledge and passion to our conversation. In this episode, we dive into Kayla's journey, how embracing fitness from a young age has been a lifelong investment in her health and vitality. We explore the unique challenges and opportunities women face in midlife and how this stage can actually be a time of empowerment and newfound freedom. Kayla shares why it's so important for women to prioritise self-care, not just for themselves, but so that they can show up with energy and presence for the people they love. We also discuss the importance of reevaluating our approach to exercise as we age. So cutting back on certain routines, ramping up strength training, and focusing on sustainable wellness practices rather than restrictive diet trends. Kayla is redefining what it means to thrive in midlife, championing habits that last and supporting women through every stage of their journey. So I know you'll enjoy my conversation with Kayla Neal and keep listening for her expert insights on movement, metabolism and mindful nutrition and discover how midlife can be your most empowered chapter yet. So Kayla, you have some great perspectives around how midlife can be a period of empowerment for us middle-aged girls. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to you about all of that. But I was wondering if maybe we could start off, if maybe you could share, how do you define midlife? And I guess what does that stage mean to you personally?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love that. Hmm. I think that well, let me preface it with this. 5 years ago, I could not define perimenopause.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't put a definition to it, which is a tad bit embarrassing now based on how much education I have and how many women I'm helping, but that's just honest. I feel like it's almost like a renewal. There's so many things for a lot of us that are happening in midlife. Like if you just look at motherhood and where we might be with our children. For me, I'm an empty nester and what that looks like. It really feels like another opportunity to thrive in a much different way. When I was in the throes of the struggle of perimenopause, when I didn't know what it was, because it was for old people, to be clear,
Yeah.
so it could not be happening to me. I was scared. And I think that because there's such a lack of education, I didn't know. I just kind of thought it was the beginning of the end.
Well,
So go
yeah,
ahead.
it's funny that you say that because I think that's all of our experience. Because even though I had studied menopause and hormone and everything, hormones in college, when it's happening to you, it happens so gradually and slowly
Mm.
that really and truly, and because the symptoms are so wide and varied, I didn't have like hot flashes. So you might have even studied it, but sometimes it's still hard to recognize it in yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm a fitness girl. I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and the getting older part of fitness, I never thought it would happen to me.
No,
I
we
thought
don't. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
somehow I would just slide under the radar,
Yeah.
right? But again, like I grew up in a household where nobody was talking about these things. My mom had a hysterectomy at 26. I still think that even if she hadn't had a hysterectomy at 26, I still don't think that there would have been a lot of communication about this time of life. I mean, I have three young women, daughters in their 20s, not moms, and I'm already talking to them about perimenopause. I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
happening to my kids, right? It's not
No.
because there's such an opportunity of reinvention and such an opportunity to really thrive if you know how to manage it and if you approach it the right way. So, yeah, I mean, just we're
Well,
here now doing it, getting the word.
exactly. Exactly. And with the experience that you can talk to your daughters and your
Yeah.
clients, when you've been through it, you can explain the experience a little bit better. And if we can, that's exactly what I think as well, is that if we can get ahead of the symptoms, if we're prepared, and if we're
Mhm.
living, obviously how we live our life up to perimenopause will that will influence how we experience it, So if we can get young women ahead of the game, then, as you said, then it can be a positive thing because we can shed things and, we can move forward with a new perspective. Um, so I suppose a lot of times, I suppose historically people would have called it the change or,
Mhm.
it would have been considered to be a time of decline. But how can we challenge that narrative?
Well, I think that what you said was so poetic. I'd like to go back there for a moment because the majority of what I deal with in my practice is weight loss.
Right.
There's so much more around that, right? But that's kind of what's knocking on my door. And we fix a lot of things. And then, the side benefit of fixing all these other things is the weight loss. But I think that getting women, I'm the lifestyle girl.
Mhm.
So I always tell women, I specialize in perimenopause. So I'm talking to a lot of women mid, late 40s, early mid 50s. It's never too late.
Never too
And
late. Yeah,
it's never too late. And so getting women to, for those who've not been exercising, to really learn to embrace a new lifestyle and to not, one of my hot buttons for me is I don't have time. I'm like, woof, I'm the wrong girl to say that to,
yeah,
right? I'm the wrong girl. I'm an entrepreneur. And if you know entrepreneurs, we work like dogs. And then that's not a badge of honor. It just, when you own the baby, you're the one, right? Not
yeah.
passing the buck. You're the one keeping it alive. And getting women to just make themselves a priority is one of my favorite things to do. So a lot of women, especially moms, have just lived a life of being last.
That's right.
And they never put their needs ahead of anyone else's, thinking that was a selfish thing to do. And so if I can get my hands on a woman and I can rewrite that script and change that narrative, it's one of the most rewarding opportunities to get them to truly understand that it's an act of selflessness to put your needs first, and then you have the ability with a joyful heart to give back and help those around you. I mean, it's that classic oxygen mask analogy on the
Yes.
airplane, right? Put yours on first. And I'd say probably the majority of women that I speak to just can't seem to find the time in their schedule to take care of themselves. And they're so unhappy in their bodies,
Mm.
and then you throw on perimenopause on top of it. I mean, weight loss is hard enough, right? Let's just be real. Losing weight, it's it's a challenge in our 20s and 30s, going into midlife, all the complications of hormones and all the things that change. You add that layer on top of it, and it can be a real challenge. So getting women to just want to put themselves first for
I
the first time.
know. Yeah, and it is, as you say, it's a challenge because it's so deep rooted in us, isn't it, as women
It
to
sure
look
is.
after everybody else. It is about shifting the mindset so that people realize, well, if you don't refill your own energy stores, your own battery or whatever, that actually you won't be any good to anybody, never mind yourself. And of course, we're here to enjoy our lives as well, aren't we? We're
Yes,
not just here
absolutely.
for other people. So I mean, that is challenging that narrative in people's mindset. How do you go about that, or what can you? I guess every one of your clients is individual anyway.
Yeah, I was just, you took the
Yeah.
words out of my mouth. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's so individualized.
Mm.
And that's what I'm really good at is meeting women where they are. Just
Great.
meeting them where
Yeah.
they are. Yeah. And really every woman presents to me a different set of circumstances, her lifestyle. Is she a mom? Are kids in the house? Are they out of the house? Is she working? Is she not working? Am I pulling her off of the couch? Is she already in a workout plan? But a lot of it is, it's still at the end of the day, it's still brain surgery, right?
Yes.
It's still brain surgery because they're coming to me to solve a problem that they can't solve on their own. And I think the biggest piece of it is the accountability. So I think through the accountability, I do weekly calls with my clients. We're in daily communication, but I do weekly like this on Zoom, face to face.
Mm.
And it's in those moments that I really get to teach. And it's really in the throes of life, which is why my program lasts 90 days, because I need to have a real snapshot of who they are and what they're going through. And it's in those real throes of all the things that's happening because life keeps lifing, right? No one's going to take a time out to work on their fitness. That I get the opportunity to say, like, oh, hold on a second, time out. And there's something about using a real life scenario that they're going through that
Okay.
gets them to maybe snap out of it and have a little bit of a not, I wouldn't call it an epiphany, that might be too strong of a word, but just like a step back, right? A zoom out and a reevaluation of like, oh yeah, that's right. I probably could have done that workout, or that's what I probably could have made it to the store. So it's having our priorities in alignment, but it's that accountability. It's that partnership working with someone that really starts to change. I mean, what we have going on up here, especially if we're in our late 40s, early 50s, I mean, the stories we tell ourselves that we've been telling ourselves probably since we were very young, that you don't just rewrite that,
Not
right? That
overnight, yeah.
not overnight.
Mm.
It takes some real work and somebody working with you with some empathy and like, wait, hold on a second. And just reminding you. I mean, what I tell women is I come into their lives and take care of them because they're so busy taking care of everyone else. But while I'm taking care of them, I do a lot of communication about, okay, now when our 90 days is over, you're not going to just disappear, but like, how do we make this sustainable? How do
Yeah.
we make sure that we're making you a priority? So I try to do a lot of just habit hacking and just repetition. I call it doing the bicep curls, right? Just doing the reps. That's how we get stronger. It's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah. And even changing habits, when you've given, say, 90, when you've had 90 days to practice the habits, then they become
Yeah.
like brushing your teeth, where it's kind of like
Yes.
if you don't do them, you think, oh, what did I miss out? What did I forget to do today? Because your
Yep.
body's used to it and looking for it. And sometimes it is having, as you say, people, your clients are accountable to you, but also you're offering them a new perspective on a situation. Well, okay, so you didn't have time to go to the gym for an hour, but could you have done 10 minutes of this or that? Or
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the constant communication comes in, right? Is that grabbing somebody in the throes of what's happening and then showing them how we could have shifted. Because it does, and even in 90 days, you're still an infant in 90 days. So my goal is to get to work as quickly as possible, right? And
yes,
really give them the tools to keep this going because also the acceptance that we don't ever get there, right? Like
of
your
course.
wellness is not destination driven. It's a journey until we're no longer on the planet. And that's a real hard one for some to accept. Like, oh my gosh, this thing is never over. I'm like, no, you don't knock on the doorstep of wellness and come sit on the couch.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah,
it's not a thing, right? And
no.
say, glad that's over. I liken
Mm.
it to brushing our teeth, right? We just get up and we do it every single day because it's no matter what that is. Maybe it's in a rest day, or maybe it's just making sure we're getting sunlight on our faces. But there's some part of every single day that should be paid attention to nurturing and taking care of yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be lifting weights in order to
Yeah,
do that, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So do you think then, obviously you will talk about, midlife being a turning point and how we can empower ourselves and maybe, take on maybe new challenges or, it can be a change for good. Do you think that feeling physically stronger, I mean, obviously everything's connected, but is that a big part of it? How we'll say at the end of the 30 days, if women are physically stronger, that they feel emotionally stronger as well?
I think that teaching, I love taking someone off the couch, mainly because I don't have to break any bad habits, but it's really fun. And also because they've not really moved their bodies in that way. So, like, for example, maybe someone's been walking or taking some group exercise classes. And so I'm now introducing her to the world of weight training, which for all the ladies listening to us is a non-negotiable. Like, we have to weight train to support
Yeah.
our bodies, to support our hormones, to protect our bones, all the things. But yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
I don't meet a lot of women that are like, I can't wait to get to my next weight training session. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of fanfare around it, but
Yeah.
the feeling of being strong is addicting. I ended up in the weight room as a really young woman at 19, and it's just because the boys were cute. So that's where I landed
Yeah.
back in the 90s. And I stayed because I liked the way that it felt. I had no idea I was making deposits into a retirement account for 90-year-old Kayla. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
no idea, but I adopted weight training that young and I've never stepped away from it. I feel so grateful. And for many, many, many years, one of the only women in the weight room. So for me, it's just what I do and I do it alone and it's not fun. It's not sexy. And I tell women that all the time. Do some things around fitness that bring you joy. I used to have a spin studio. I just sold it last month. I was teaching this morning. A 45-minute spin class may not be the best opportunity for fat burning for somebody in perimenopause, but it brings me so much joy. And joy matters, right? So
absolutely.
before
Yeah.
that, I was
Mm,
I was weight training. Before that, I was weight training for 30 minutes.
mm,
So yeah, I think that I would hope that women get addicted to the feeling of feeling strong. I
yeah.
mean, I'm shouting it from the rooftops that, like, if you want to protect your body and you want to enjoy longevity in a real way, we've got to get into the weight room.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of talk the last couple of years about how important it is for bone density,
Yeah.
that load-bearing exercise. But also I think there's a lot of new research out about the importance of muscle mass as we age as well.
Yes,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
for
And we have
anti-aging.
to have, yes, we have to have the lean muscle to have the ability to burn fat. And
Mm.
lean muscle on a body is the only thing that will change your body composition. It's the only thing that will actually change how you look. And I
And
think that go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I just think there's a lot of fear around being bulky.
Yeah,
I'm dispelling that constantly. I'm like, it is so challenging to put on lean muscle. Feeling bulky is probably a nutrition problem or a hormone problem, but I can guarantee you it's not a weight training problem because putting on lean muscle is very, very challenging, even in our youth as women. And then
mm,
behind the eight ball in perimenopause, when hormones are on the decline, it's very challenging. But I hear that all the time. So the correlation is, and they're lifting with 5 pound dumbbells. I'm like, you got to put the 5 pound dumbbells down. We've got to do something heavier, more challenging.
yeah, I think that for years it was all about the aerobics classes, and doing an hour of like circuits and aerobics. And I think that maybe sometimes women are afraid to stop doing that, when they're
Yes.
trying to lose weight. Whereas actually it's much more effective in perimenopause and menopause to do a different type of exercise because of the hormone and how that stress can impact, obviously cortisol has a big impact on our other hormones and everything. So, um, I,
Hey,
I-
Lynn, can you say it louder for the people in the back?
you
Oh my
know,
God, this
yeah,
girl. I'm a recovering cardio addict and I'm
yeah,
still in recovery. I'm still in recovery. When you have been indoctrinated into you got to burn it off
yeah,
and you have been doing that your whole life, like again, I mean, I'm still a work in progress. I've
yeah,
really had to step away from the intense cardio because of all the things that you just mentioned. And when you feel like that's the answer, I know that it's not, to be very clear. But when you in your soul feel like it's the answer, it's very, very hard to walk away from that pounding, pounding cardio.
yeah. I've been doing weights now. I'm not doing them as long as you. I've only really probably got into them. Like I would have been into sort of I like walking. Obviously, I have dogs,
Yeah.
or I have one dog at the moment. Things like that. I like horse riding. So I'm active, but I've only really got into the weights probably the last year and a bit
Mhm.
on and off. I'm pretty consistent at the moment. So how many minutes a week would you recommend? I need, and my husband was just saying I need to get heavier dumbbells. I need to start pushing. Now I've got good
Yeah.
where I'm at, but it needed to be, put a little bit more effort into it. So how many minutes a week would you recommend that women would do lifting weights?
Well, that's a great question. I'm going to preface it with this. It needs to be, and I'm talking to myself, it needs to be focused minutes.
Yes.
It needs to be focused minutes. So if you can
Okay.
do a focused 30 minutes, and I'm talking like off your phone.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can't stop working. So, like, I really have to hold myself. This is my work to putting my phone away and giving myself that intensity of that 30 minutes. If you can put your phone away,
Yeah.
30 minutes is great. 20, 30 minutes, 3 times a week is a home run. It's an A plus plus.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. And I mean that is doable. I actually obviously wear glasses, so I can't look at my phone for while I'm doing it anyway. So
Good.
that's one good thing, and I do a little rebounder as well. I think rebounding
Yeah,
is good too. But so I'm not I've a bit of a journey now to get to be as good as you, but you're definitely giving me encouragement to keep going, and to do a little bit more for sure.
I love it. And also too, like I always say, just start.
Yeah.
When I'm working with women, if they're not doing any weight training, first of all, I'm having them do body weight, and we're doing just things to lock in form, squats and lunges and planks and push-ups and
Yeah.
sit-ups, right? Just basics. And
Yeah.
then one day a week is great. And then we'll build
Yeah.
it to two,
Yeah.
right? And then we'll do it for 2 times a week for a bit and really let that kind of create the habit and build that into the schedule. You can't do too much too soon.
Hmm.
And then 3 times a week. And I always encourage my clients, if you want to hit 3 workouts a week, you have to schedule four. You have to schedule four because lifes.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to schedule four.
Yeah.
So no matter what, now you also have to know yourself because you have to literally use that backup because something happened, not because you don't feel like it, right? So
Yes.
knowing
Yeah.
ourselves is important too. So it always depends on who I'm talking to before I lend that little trick because I have to make sure that we're not just going to make an excuse to not do it because then what if something comes up? It's used as an insurance plan.
Mm.
If not this, then that. Really takes away that rigidity, which I think is super helpful, especially when we're building a new habit. Building a new
Yeah.
habit in a busy life is not simple.
Exactly. So that we don't use it as a stick to beat ourselves if we miss one for a good
Exactly.
reason. But
Yeah.
as you say, we would say in Ireland, don't cod yourself into
Yeah.
just because you don't feel like it, yeah,
Yes.
that's your freebie. But actually a really, really good idea. Would you have found that any new opportunities have opened up to you or new freedoms? You mentioned you're an empty nester. Have you discovered anything in midlife that kind of makes you feel more free, or any opportunities that weren't available to you previous to this chapter?
My schedule. Yeah, you
Yeah,
nailed it. My schedule. My husband and I have 6 children.
yeah,
Yes. So he brought three to the marriage. I brought three boys and 3 girls. Not quite the Brady Bunch, but a mix of boys and girls in there. And all athletic, every single one
brilliant.
of them.
Mm,
And club sports and travel sports. I always worked, but we lived a life completely dedicated to our children. And they're the best memories to date.
yeah,
Like
well
that's
worth
what we
it.
talk about. I'm always telling my young moms, like, I know you feel like you're in the trenches, but eat it up because when they're gone, it's what you're going to talk about. And sure enough, that's what we're doing. So my time I own my time again. I own my time. And that is it's a real freedom. It kind of caught me off guard um, because I can get so much more done because I'm not stopping to go do carpool to pick everybody up from school and then take them to volleyball or whatever the sport might be. So I would say that that's probably one of the best things about being an empty nester and in midlife is you really get to reinvent your schedule. And again, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, so I probably work too much, but nothing else. I'm not pulled.
You're
I'm
not
not
you're
pulled,
not doing it
right?
because
Not
you're
pulled.
yeah, you're
I'm
you're
doing it
you're
because I want to
working.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so the evolution of my career has been very kismet because I rolled into perimenopause and found myself in such a struggle. And isn't it the struggles that we teach
mm,
that I just knew it was during COVID and I just knew. And then we were on Zoom all of a sudden. I'd never been on Zoom. I'm a bricks and mortar girl. I'm doing, boot camps and spin classes and kickboxing and weight
yeah,
training. And I just had this thought like, that would be weird if I could talk to somebody in Ireland. How strange, right? So like
yeah.
it had never occurred to me, and that's really where this all took hold. But it was all through my struggles. It was this feeling, this knowing of like, wow, I'm a pretty smart cookie, and I've been in the industry 28 years to that point. And if I'm struggling the way that I'm struggling, and I consider myself a leader in the industry, wow, the lack of education is a real thing. And I was absolutely dead on. I'm in this space now, but like I couldn't really take on this space the way that I take it on unless I'd gone through it.
We ran a perimenopause and menopause event there in February, and
Mhm.
we were really blown away by the attendance, and it was a great forum for women to come together and say, "Oh, you too," because we all put on a good face, don't we? We all put on a good front, and we go on with our day and get on with work, and we can be feeling really, really. Whether it's anxiety or whether it's more physical symptoms, we can be going through it and feel alone. So do you
Mm.
feel that it's important for women to have a forum where they can come together and maybe compare
Oh,
experiences and
yeah, that's my mission. I mean, I think
mm,
that I personally was suffering in silence.
mm,
And I was suffering from a lack of education, so I couldn't define what was happening with me. And then I was suffering because who motivates the motivator?
yeah.
I'm the one that people come to ask the questions. I didn't feel comfortable going to anyone. I mean, I still did. I still went to my friends and was like, are the wheels falling off for you too? Because what is happening? And so I made a little bit of progress there. But yeah, my goal in 5 years is to have 10,000 women in my group. I love community. It's why I fell in love with fitness when I was 18 years old, is when you bring a group of people together, especially in fitness, it's just so positive and empowering. And I want a humongous network of women to learn and support and educate. I mean, we have to change. Our mother's generation was lost. And if we're not careful, we're going to be lost too.
Yeah.
And not on my watch. I mean, I'm going to say one woman at a time, but that's really, I'm so inspired by being with women together and exactly like, yeah, me too. Like, holy heck, what is happening? And to know that you're not alone and to know that no matter what, if you're a woman, you're going to go through this time of life and that it's going to be okay and that we can learn how to navigate it and learn to thrive. And it's not,
Yeah.
we're not put out to pasture.
Exactly. It's not the end. It's the beginning of the
Mhm.
next chapter. And really, I think especially something like anxiety, which was my main, I suppose, my main symptom initially, and it comes at, it happens so sort of gradually that you just start to think it's just the way you're thinking. And it was such a load off, such a weight off. I felt better as soon as I sort of had an inkling. Then I thought, oh my God, maybe this is that. Went to the GP, and it was like a load off my shoulders once it was confirmed that that's what it was. And you're started, once you recognize it and acknowledge it, you're actually on the road to feeling better already, even before you even start taking making other changes.
Right.
Um, there are a lot of stereotypes and I suppose societal pressures on women at any age, but
Hmm.
definitely in relation to sort of aging and, femininity. And in that regard, do you see things changing? Maybe us taking ownership of this new chapter of our life can ensure that these societal pressures don't keep us down.
Hmm. I think the societal pressures are going to be there no matter what.
Okay.
Um, I'm a firm believer in control your controllables.
Okay.
And right, and play your own game.
Mm.
We don't have any, I mean, we can be a positive force in the world, which is what I hope that I am doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't know how much of an impact I'm going to have on that, right?
Yeah.
My goal is to help women really feel good in their bodies. And that takes some work. That takes some effort on their part. They have to raise their hand and then they have to be willing to do the work, right? But I
Yeah.
have to say that at 49, and I'm not just saying this, at 49, this runs circles around 30. This runs circles around 40. I feel the best I've ever felt. So I hope that I am leading a life by example and showing that it's possible, not without effort, to be clear, not without
Mm,
effort. But again, I
mm.
don't accept excuses like I don't have time because I don't have time either.
Yeah,
I
and
make,
you're worth the effort. We
oh
have
my
to we have
gosh. Oh
to
my
feel
gosh.
that we are worth the effort, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I'm always
Um,
trying to figure out a positive way to communicate that because I really want to just shake people. If I'm going to be
mm,
honest here for a second, I want to grab them by the shoulders virtually and give them one of those because we just got to snap out of it. I mean, I don't have time and it's just, it all starts up here, right? The 6 inches between your ears. And you have to believe that you can. It's a belief first. I mean, I'll lead the way and I'll say step here, right?
mm.
Step here, but there's a belief that has to come first. And I think in this diet culture and how we were brought up in the 80s and 90s, we it messed a lot of us up.
I like that saying, control your controllables. I think that's a
Mm.
really good one. And I think you're absolutely spot on when you say lead by example. So if people can see you, you look fantastic, you don't look
Yeah.
49 at all. I'm aiming to have arms that toned. Um, but I think that's the best way to lead people, isn't it? By
Mm.
showing what it can look like with that effort that you put in,
Yep,
every day, every week, or whatever, with the daily habits. Um,
absolutely.
so I suppose that one other thing, just going back to how people traditionally looked on women from midlife on, do you see a way that we can advocate for ourselves? Because often they're even going through perimenopause and menopause. The statistics show that women lose confidence, so they have issues at work. They maybe leave work, or they don't get promotions that maybe they would have expected to get by that age, and with the level of experience that they have, because of lack of confidence as well. So, do you think that there's a way that we can advocate for ourselves through many perimenopause and menopause in our lives to, I suppose, combat any stereotypes?
I think the best way to advocate for yourself is to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I believe you that when you just going back to you saying like how anxiety showed up for you, right? Like
Mm,
that's how perimenopause showed up for you. And it's a myriad, right, of symptoms, and they're different for everyone. Again,
yeah.
this is cookie cutter either, but and it was for me too. It was the lack of sleep, and I'm not somebody who's anxious at all. So that was really mind-blowing to me. Like I was like, wow, this is anxiety. Okay, got it. Noted. Noted.
Yeah.
Don't ever want to do this. But just taking care of ourselves so we feel equipped to be out in the world and that we don't shrink. And I think that if you're not willing to get educated, okay, that's the thing. The information's out there, but you have to be willing to go get it. And to know that like, okay, yes, I can go. I mean, you got to work a little bit because finding an OB/GYN who knows what they're doing can be challenging. Sorry to
Mm,
the doctors who are listening, but they just did not get the education in medical school. So that takes a little bit of work, right? You can't just show up to your appointment and have these bioidentical hormone prescriptions written. It could take a little bit of work, but you really taking care of yourself from that perspective, and then taking care of yourself from a physical perspective, getting sleep, fueling your body correctly instead of eating a bunch of processed foods and drinking every evening, and moving your body, even if it just means walking. I think that when we take care of our bodies, we show up to be our best selves. And somebody who is feeling good in their body is going to advocate.
mm. So maybe for a short time until you get, whether if you do need HRT or whatever, working with your doctor, maybe
Mhm.
making your world a little bit smaller, and, as you say, control the controllables and give yourself a little bit of space to focus on yourself for those few months until you get everything balanced, and then make a start on all of those pillars of our health, like the movement, the relaxation, the sleep, but allow ourselves that time, if we need to, as I say, make our worlds a little bit smaller and commit to a little
Mm.
bit less, until we get that sorted, and then we're ready to go again.
Well, and I hope that getting older, one of the positives, at least it has been for me, one of the positives of getting older is caring less about what people think.
Yeah,
I mean, who
that's a
cares? Like
blessing.
no
Yeah,
one's no one's living your life.
yeah,
Did a post the other day that said the only weight that you need to lose is the weight of other people's opinions.
so true, so
And
true.
I live my life that way. I could care less what anybody thinks of me.
Yeah,
And so I hope that the women listening to us are nodding their heads and thinking like, yeah, that's either they do think that way or good point.
yeah.
And like we need to let go of that's high school stuff. That is young girl stuff, and really tuning in to what we need and taking care of ourselves. I really truly believe gives us the ability to advocate. And then when you can take care of yourself and you're feeling good in your body, it gives you an opportunity to advocate for yourself and others.
Yeah, and exactly, absolutely, because then you can empower other women by
Yes.
your example. And
Yes.
I think we do realize as we get older as well that everybody else is just trying to survive themselves, so they haven't got the
Absolutely.
headspace to even think
All
about
just
us.
trying to get, I always tell women, you know what people are thinking about? Themselves.
Yeah,
themselves, don't flatter yourself. Like they're thinking about themselves, right? So let's
Yeah.
let go of the fact. I've told my children that from the time that they were young. Like no one's sitting around talking about you. They're thinking about themselves,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
So, Kayla, would you like to tell us a little bit about your course, your 90-day
Yeah,
course? Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I kind of talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
yes, I have a 90-day accountability program. What I do that is so special is it's 100% specialized to the woman that I'm working with. So again, I'm the lifestyle expert, right? I get all of the lifestyle pieces in alignment, and then I have a team of nurse practitioners and physicians to help us with things like lab work and peptides and anything that anybody would want to add on. So I always tell women, I'm your last stop. So when you work with me, congratulations. This is it. You'll never have to do anything again. It's just a major education process. I just tell them to lock in with me for 90 days and let's get educated and don't wait to work with someone like me when you're not busy because that doesn't exist. And the busier someone is, the better, because then I can really teach them how to work this in to a very realistic lifestyle, which life is lifing around us all the time and doesn't slow down.
Mm.
It doesn't slow down. So
The
that's what
busier
I do.
we, yeah, that's amazing. The busier we are, the more we actually need it anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We need
Absolutely.
some
I love busy.
interventions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love busy. And the inclination is, oh, I'm too busy to do that, or oh, it's summer and I'll get
Mm.
back to it in the fall. But we have to change the mindset.
And you know this whole thing about work-life balance as well. I mean, that's all. It's sometimes it's not just about 9 to 5. You mentioned you're an entrepreneur, it could be someone who still has small kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's having the energy for the busyness in your life. And that just takes
Absolutely.
some effort, as you say, with giving your time, yourself some time for all of those good things like the whole food, movement, and a bit of relaxation as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Paying attention to how we're treating our bodies, right?
Yeah. Kayla, you're an inspiration and your energy is so obvious and everything. And definitely, you're absolutely, I'm sure, leading by experience with everyone that you meet. So thank you so much for your time and your perspectives.
Oh, that's so nice of you, Lynn. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
My thanks again to Kayla for her time and expertise. So, the store cupboard staple for this episode is a source of protein, which obviously we need to build muscle, and it's one of the most versatile and nutritious foods that we can add into our kitchen cupboard, and that is lentils. So, whether you're a seasoned cook or just starting to explore healthy eating, this really is a powerhouse ingredient that's worth knowing about. So I'm just going to walk you through some of lentils' most impressive health benefits and also share some easy and simple ways that we can use them in our meals. So lentils are a tiny but mighty member of the legume family. They are packed with essential nutrients which support overall health. And they contain protein and fiber, so they make an excellent choice for someone who's looking to boost their plant-based protein intake or improve their digestion. So they're rich in B vitamins, especially folate, and this is crucial for our red blood cell formation. And of course, folate is also really important for healthy fetal development. Now, we will also consume minerals like iron, magnesium, potassium, and zinc when we eat lentils. There are different types and they kind of vary in consistency. So, brown and green retain their shape better after cooking, while others can become more soft and mushy. So, for example, if you were trying to replace meat in like bolognese sauce, you'd use brown or green, and then they would stay kind of looking a little bit more like minced meat. So, as far as the history of the food that we eat goes, lentils are truly ancient. So, archaeologists have discovered lentil seeds in both Near and Middle Eastern agricultural villages dating back to 6000 BC. Actually, they were even mentioned in the Bible in Genesis. There was a story where Esau trades his inheritance for a bowl of lentil soup. That's how valuable it was to him. They would have been used for baking bread, and they've also actually been found in ancient Egyptian tombs. Now, before the first century, they appeared in India, and I suppose that's where we would have maybe thought they originated because they're obviously famously used in Indian dishes, especially a dal. So it's thought that they were introduced to the Greeks and the Romans by the Egyptians. And they weren't only used as a food to eat, but they were also used to protect important and precious cargo when they were shipping it. So, for example, in the first century, 1.3 million kilos of lentils were used to cushion the obelisk that the Egyptians sent to Italy, and which now sits in the Vatican City in front of St. Peter's Basilica. So they were also used, of course, in Catholic countries to replace meat during Lent. So we've mentioned some of the nutrients that we benefit from when we consume lentils, and some of the issues that can help reduce the risk of include heart health. So because they're rich in fiber, folate, and potassium, they all support heart health, lowering cholesterol, and of course regulating blood pressure. A couple of episodes ago, that just dedicated to blood pressure, in case you want to have a listen to that. They support our digestion. Remember, high fiber really helps to keep our digestive system running smoothly. And they also feed the beneficial bacteria in our gut. They help to manage our blood sugars because they have a low glycemic index. Weight management. So thanks to their combination of protein and fiber, they can help to make us feel full and satisfied. And that can obviously help or make it easier for us to maintain a healthy weight. Lentils also are loaded with plant compounds called polyphenols. Again, I have a previous episode dedicated to polyphenols. And so they have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. So these compounds can help to protect against chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and even certain cancers. Now, just to note that they are high in oxalates. So if you suffer from kidney stones, just consume them in moderation. So once we buy lentils and have them in our store cupboard, what are we going to do with them? Well, they are really versatile and they come in several different colours, as we mentioned, and varieties. So I would tend to use, say, red lentils if I'm making like a soup like carrot, coriander, and butternut squash, or any of those. If I was making a green soup, I would use green lentils. So they're brilliant to add into soups and stews. You know, they really make them hearty, and they cook quickly, and they actually absorb flavors really beautifully. So lentils, depending on the color you get, can cook anywhere between, say, 15 and 30 minutes. And they're fabulous in soups. You can add them into salads. So even if you didn't want to cook them yourself, you can buy them cooked in tins, and that'll add an extra boost of protein and fiber into your salad. They go really well with roasted vegetables. So you can toss them in among your roasted vegetables and with some herbs and a nice vinaigrette, that'll make a nice vegetable salad. Of course, if you're buying a veggie burger, mashed cooked lentils would often be used in veggie burgers with like breadcrumbs, onions, and spices. And that makes it a really satisfying burger, obviously, because they do have protein. Dals and curries. And I'm going to put in a link to a recipe for a dal in the show notes because, that's their dals are really, really lovely and very satisfying. If you can, obviously, if you can handle the spices. They can be used as a side dish, so just literally season them, with a little bit of a vinaigrette, maybe a bit of olive oil, lemon juice, and some herbs. And of course, actually, they're really great as a stuffing for stuffed peppers, or stuffed tomatoes, and that can make a nutritious and filling lunch. So I'll put in a link to some other recipes in the show notes as well. So lentils are budget-friendly and really nutrient-dense food, which can easily be incorporated into a variety of dishes. Even if you're not or can't eat like spicy foods, which is maybe what we really traditionally consider lentils to be eaten with, But as I said, you can easily incorporate them into soups and stews, and they really do bulk up your meal and really bulk up the nutrient density of your meal. So they're going to support your heart health, digestive wellness, blood sugars, and of course, add some lovely flavor and texture. So hopefully there is enough information there to encourage you to add some more whole foods into your shopping trolley this week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I just wanted to clarify that the podcast is for informational purposes only and does not substitute professional care from a doctor or trained health professional, nor constitute medical advice or services if you're in a position to need either. However, if you found it interesting, you can subscribe to make sure you don't miss future episodes, or sign up for my newsletter on lynsharkeynutrition.ie.